Hello, everyone. I wanted to talk about the World War Z expansion called Aftermath. It's an interesting topic in certain regards. I'll do my best to explain, starting with the platforms. I am torn when it comes to the platforms. Epic Games has done some horrible stuff to their employees over the past couple of years to a point where those employees have made a union. That's not cool. And I hope that this union will resolve the issues at Epic. I haven't honestly checked on the progress of that union in quite some time, so I don't know what their status is, but I can only hope they're doing well. However, regardless of how bad Epic's management is in certain areas, the one thing that Epic does do well is be a platform for smaller developers that can't afford the fees of being on Steam. I read an article about this a long time ago. Steam charges a pretty big number to be on their platform in comparison to other platforms. So it all depends on what the developer has financially. As for Steam, I haven't seen anything in the news about Steam. I don't know if, well, Steam or Valve, I don't know if they have done wrong with their employees or anything. If they did, then they're doing a good job of keeping it suppressed or out of the news. If that's the case, that's not cool either. But there is one thing that Steam does differently than Epic, and that's supporting Linux gaming. For those who weren't present for the past recordings, I'll go and explain this a little bit so you can understand the difference between the two platforms and my following comments. Let me tab over real quickly. Okay, Proton, what this is it's a software that is available on the Steam platform to everybody. If you are on Linux, all you have to do is go to the options and turn it on, and it's available to you. What Proton does for you is it allows you to play your Steam games on Linux. That's a pretty big deal because it's providing more variety within the gaming market. Mac isn't good for gaming. Windows can do it, but not as efficiently. Linux gaming, depending which distribution you're talking about, is very efficient in gaming. If you're comparing same titles, there are certain titles within the Steam library that can perform as high as 40 FPS more than Windows can. Linux is a really great platform for gaming, and while I may not be a fan of it, I do recognize that more options within the market is a good thing. If no one else steps up to the plate to create a gaming environment outside of Windows, then Windows will likely at some point gain a monopoly on gaming between their operating system and the 21 game studios that they own. That said, I do prefer Steam, and I do want to see more support towards Linux gaming, but I do understand that it's just not feasible for certain developers due to their finances. I wish there was some sort of leniency or financial plan to make it possible for more developers to come to Steam, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. Either way, though, that's kind of my outlook on it. I really do want Linux gaming to be supported. And unfortunately, the only option there is Steam. Okay, with the platforms out of the way, let me just tab back real quickly. Okay, let me talk about progress. I think that's a big topic that needs to be discussed. There are a lot of players who are veterans of World War Z and have spent a lot of hours grinding the crap out of classes just to get them to whatever level or prestige that they desire. Myself, I gave up on trying to Prestige after Prestige 1 on Exterminator, I think is the name, just because of the repetitive nature of grinding. It would be a lot quicker if I could play at the higher difficulties, but I've tried playing at the higher difficulties with randoms and it just does not work. Maybe that's changed since then. I could try, but it's always been a nightmare. So, unfortunately, that does mean I have to go to a lower difficulty, which means lower credits. So, that's what does multiply the grind. I really wanted to move to Steam once I saw this announcement, but given the way my finances are, that's just not possible. And also because it would mean grinding all over again. Unfortunately, the only thing I could do was take the upgrade path, because on the 19th they said that they would lower the price by half if you own the base game. You could upgrade for $20 essentially, assuming you own the game, which is what I did. That was the best outcome given the circumstances. $20 a lot better than $40 financially, and also, like I said, I'd have to start all over with all the class grinds and crap, and I can't be bothered to do that. There's just so much grinding with that game between the weapons and the classes. It's just painful to do things over and over again. So, yeah, I was kind of hoping that they would create an easy system for transferring saves. There is a way you can do it right now through the files, but there's not really good instructions on how to do that, and or there's a potential for things to get messed up in the process. So I was kind of hoping for a more official way of doing it that's efficient and easy. That unfortunately did not come, so that kind of makes me sad-faced. While we're talking about the grind, let me go ahead and talk about the classes. I quit World War Z shortly before Game of the Year Edition, which introduced the French chapter. So I had pretty much most things done, not just with the classes, but also the weapons. But yeah, so another thing that kind of contributes to this grind is the fact that once you introduce new weapons, it's all up to RNG. You could run a map, 100 times and may only see that weapon maybe 3 or 4 times. So it makes it kind of difficult because of how few times the weapon shows up, and also because of the fact that once you level the weapon, it stops gaining experience. If they made it so that the weapon could continue gaining experience regardless of what level it's at, that would have been better, a way of handling it, and I was kind of hoping they would fix that as well. But unfortunately, that did not happen. There are some other things that disappointed me with this expansion, and I'll go and talk about the classes now. As part of the whole higher difficulty being painful with randoms, I was hoping for a way to make it easier. In that scenario, I was thinking that it would be possible to make it to where classes could get level 3 weapons through their prestige. For example, the medic has that Navy SEAL perk at the very, very end once you reach Prestige 4. It says it increases SMG range by 25%. I think they could have added in something like increase range by 25% and start with the special SMG. Assuming that this special SMG works with Medic. I haven't had the opportunity to test it because, again, RNG, but I would assume Lobotomy and all the other perks related to Medic would work with the special SMG due to the fact that it is SMG in the title. But if it doesn't work with that, then I would say just put in the advanced SMG, and then that would let Medic actually start with a really good weapon for dealing with the higher difficulties. because the issue with Medic in particular is it doesn't have any damage perks. It's just pure support. So you have too few ammo and your weapon does very little damage, which is why I think it needs the special SMG to start with, or the advanced SMG, whatever works with their perks. That's kind of where I'm going with this. Is I would have liked to see the prestige actually matter and make the higher difficulties, you know, easier. Well, I would like to see the levels be easier a little bit, and also for the prestiges to actually matter more. Because, I mean, it's co-op campaign. I mean, really. If this was like multiplayer, which I don't know if anybody plays, then I can understand not doing something like that, but yeah, just me. Okay, on classes, I'll now focus on the Vanguard. I have to agree with one of the few Reddit posts that I was able to find regarding the Vanguard that it's a disappointing class, and it's clear that whoever designed the Vanguard class doesn't play the game, because there's just so many things wrong with the class. It's just not valuable at all. It has maybe one perk out of like 30 that actually does something, which is at 7.5% HP. And I guess the shield charge helps with repositioning, but the shield charge doesn't do jack. It doesn't kill zombies. At best, it's really only there for repositioning and for stopping a bolt charge at you. Because you have a bolt charging at you, you can charge them back, which is kind of a cool way of handling the problem. Because prior to that, the only way to deal with a charging bolt or a bolt on your teammate was either have a medic with that perk that unpins allies, or have a berserker, or I'm sorry, slasher, a slasher use the stun gun on it. That's about the only two ways to solve the problem prior to the Vanguard shield. So it's really cool in that regard, but unfortunately it just doesn't come with good perks to really make it awesome. Yeah, so that's kind of just the short version. Is it's really disappointing, and there's nothing really great about Vanguard. All the other classes are still exponentially better, which is unfortunate to see. I'll deviate a little bit and talk about which classes are good. I think they've changed some things since I played, because I don't recognize some of the wording to the perks, and I have a pretty good memory because I did play that game a lot. So I think they did change things since I last played between Game of the Year and Aftermath. But prior to Aftermath, it was Exterminator, Medic, Fixer, or Hellraiser that were the good classes. It seems that that hasn't changed, because even with some of the changes to the perks, as far as I could tell, and also with the addition of new weapons, it makes those classes even better. So Fixer works really well with semi-automatic weapons, which means that the new the advanced combat weapon, the one that fires exploding bullets, that one's really good with Fixer, because they have a lot of ammo storage for themselves and teammates, and also due to the fact that they get better reload with that. So yeah, that's awesome. And you can do the same with Exterminator, honestly, because with Exterminator, you do get that thing at, I think it's Prestige 3, that says shotguns and semi-autos reload 10% faster. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. I guess with Exterminator, you could also look into the crossbow, because it just says all semi-automatic and shotguns, which means anything with a semi-auto tag works. So I guess you could do crossbow as well, because they added that new super penetration crossbow, which is kind of silly, honestly, but yeah, it's there. So these are just a few examples I can pull out, but yeah, I think that they haven't really changed the best classes for co-op anyways. I don't know about multiplayer. I never really messed with it. I didn't like multiplayer, but for co-op, it seems that those classes just haven't changed Really. I mean, the only thing that they've done is just add some more stuff to do with it, like the ACW, and that's about it. So that's really disappointing to see as well. That it's still all those old classes that are really good. Um, yeah, so classes, um, Steam. Trying to think if there's anything I missed. I don't think there's really anything that I missed. I think that that hits all the points. Is that yeah. So I guess I can just conclude it by saying that it's interesting that they've added new weapons and new missions for me to play, and I'll play them for a little bit, at least until other games come out. But once other games come out, I'm leaving World War Z again. That's just my take on it. I mean, it's really just the same old stuff, plus or minus a few new things. So yeah, I'm really appreciative of seeing the new stuff and new maps and things, but ultimately I'm just disappointed with Aftermath is really my outlook on it. I think that they had the potential to do a lot better with the Vanguard class. I think that they could have done more with the prestiges and make it possible for classes to get level 3 weapons to kind of make the difficulty grind a bit easier, because the higher difficulties mean more currency and challenge coins. You do need to grind those. So it would have been nice to start with level 3 weapons being at that high of a prestige. Yep, that's all I have. Thanks for listening.